As weird as it is to say, it's been 5 years since GamerGate. August 2014 was a wild and tumultuous time in my life, and the following months definitely didn't get any easier. We were fighting a consumer revolt. Many of us wanted what we still want now, ethics in video game journalism. And it's very weird to me to look at something like, the Game Awards here and try to apply the same type of logic to it. Because when I look at the nominations for this year, I can't help but feel that there is a massive ethical violation taking place in the form of Geoff Keighley and how many times Death Stranding is nominated for awards. In fact, Death Stranding, as I will show you, is nominated for more awards than literally any other game. And I find that to be very odd, very peculiar, and very alarming. Now, look, before we jump into this, I want to make it abundantly clear. I understand that this is just a pointless award show that at the end of the day is just 3 hours that most of us sit on Twitter and bitch about. I get it. But I still think that we should hold someone like Geoff Keighley, the Doritos Pope, a name he so aptly earned, to a higher standards. So first things first, come over here to the website. You might notice that I had to log in on the top right corner. I didn't like that because in order to view the nominees, I had to give them my personal information. That is not something I'm about. Now, what I wanted to talk about mostly is the about section here, because I think that gives us an idea as to how this whole thing plays out. So it says here that the Game Awards recognizes and upholds creative and technical excellence in global video game and esport industry. We bring together a diverse group of game developers, game players, and notable names from popular culture to celebrate and advance gaming's position as the most immersive, challenging, and inspiring form of entertainment. We also strive to recognize those who improve the well-being of the community, which is all well and good, but what bothers me the most, outside of just this image of a dystopian Geoff Keighley, is looking at the advisory board. So the advisory board, which says here, the advisory board helps guide and advance the mission of the Game Awards, but, and they want to make sure this is known, the board is not involved in the selection of the award nominees or winners and learns the result of voting at the same time as the general public. Now, granted, that is meant to be a transparent statement that the board here is not involved. Although, according to Wikipedia, which I'm looking at here in a second, they kind of are. At least that's the presumption I can get from that. But let's just look here who's involved. Oh, Bobby Kostich from Activision. Hideo Kojima. That's kind of funny, isn't it? From Kojima Productions. You've got Phil Harrison here from Stadia. Phil Spencer from Microsoft. Doug Bowser from Nintendo. Rockstar Games. Sony Interactive Entertainment. Yves Guillemot from Ubisoft. Valve. And David Haddad, the president of Warner Brothers Games. This is definitely a group of people that, well, I mean, these are like the heads of the major companies in gaming, and they're all working on this particular award show. And I do find that to be a little bit alarming, especially when coming over here to Wikipedia for the Game Awards and looking at the process for how they do it. So it says here, the Game Awards is an advisory committee which includes representatives from hardware manufacturers Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, and AMD, and software publishers EA, Activision, Rockstar Games, Ubisoft, Valve, Warner Brothers. This committee selects around 30 influential video game news organizations that will be able to nominate and subsequently vote on the video games in several categories. The advisory committee otherwise doesn't participate in the nomination or voting process. During the nomination round, each of the news outlets provides a list of games in several categories. Games for esports related categories are chosen by a specific subset of these outlets. The committee then compiles the nominations and then selects the most nominated titles for voting by these same outlets. So what that essentially means here is that while the advisory committee does not vote necessarily on who gets chosen or what gets nominated, but they pick the outlets that will be the ones who do the voting. I'm sorry, I find that to be very problematic. I find that to be extremely problematic. That this advisory board, we can say we don't engage in the voting ourselves, but we pick the people who will do the voting. Doesn't that seem just slightly wrong? It seems slightly unethical, where these companies that will basically benefit from winning these awards are choosing the people that will ultimately vote for who will be nominated and then who will win, doesn't it seem to make some sense here that they would pick people that would be favorable to them, considering the fact that the 30 journalists or the 30 news outlets that are being that are the ones that are being talked about, I can't find a list of who they are. Again, I just find that to be very, very, very unethical. So that brings me over here to the nominees. Because I want to look at this here and show you exactly just what's going on. So the 3 games to pay attention to ultimately are Control, Death Stranding, and Sekiro. The other ones are just there, I think, in name only. They're not going to win because it's going to boil down to these 3 games. So we see the Game of the Year here, recognizing a game that delivers all the absolute best experience from creative and technical fields, and those are the 6 choices. You have Action Game, which doesn't feature any of the previously mentioned games that are up for best game. Not one. So, none of that really matters, and I don't think Gears 5 is going to do much because that's an absolute dumpster fire. But look at here, Best Action Adventure Game. Oh, there's Control, there's Death Stranding, and there's Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Okay, so that's 2 for each. In Art Direction, Control, Death Stranding, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Okay, there's 3. Audio Design, Control, Death Stranding, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Now, also Resident Evil and Modern Warfare are being brought up, but again, these are the ones that are consistent all the way through. And then you scroll past all the esports crap that really not a lot of people who watch the show care about. And you get down here to really the game direction, right? This is where it pops up again. And you've got Control, Death Stranding, Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. Again, keep going on down, right? We're getting past the mobile games and the indie games and everything else to get down here to narrative. There's Control and there's Death Stranding. So it's not Sekiro. Sekiro is not quite out yet, I believe, but no, it is out because we get down here to performance and it shows us that, oh, here are the top 6 people nominated for performance. You've got Courtney Hope for Control, and then you've got Mads Mikkelsen as Cliff for Death Stranding, and then Norman Reedus also for Death Stranding. What does this tell us? That Death Stranding has the most nominations out of every category, which means that it's more stacked to win. And I'm sorry, but the friendship between Geoff Keighley and Hideo Kojima is problematic when it comes to this particular award. I understand that they're friends. In fact, Kotaku here has an article. Yeah, he's actually in the game. He's a mission in the game. You can go and talk to him. Not only that, but other friends of Hideo Kojima are in the game too, and I really have no problem with that. I think it's actually a pretty cool little feature. But this sort of thing should outright disqualify Death Stranding from being included in the Game Awards at all, because it does show that there could be favoritism. And I'm not saying that there absolutely is favoritism. What I'm saying is that it could show that there is favoritism. And even though I said at the beginning of this that at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. This is just a games award show. No one really gives it any care. But looking at the players involved, looking at how insular it is, looking at how the process is that it's chosen for, right? So the committee chooses the outlets that will then vote for their games, which feels, again, entirely problematic. And then here you've got a game nominated for the most awards, and the host, who is a really good friend with Hideo Kojima, is the one who is, propping up the game. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just overthinking this thing. But when I think back to GamerGate, when I think back to 2014 and the argument for ethics in video game journalism and everything GamerGate uncovered and called out, and to see this kind of thing just rebuffed by going, well, Geoff Keighley isn't involved in any of that. He owns it. He runs it. He hosts it. He is the Game Awards. And to have a game like this put out there, to have a game like this propped up, I'm not saying anything about the quality of the game. From what I hear, it's amazing. But when you start to look at the potential impropriety of its inclusion and its connection to not only the owner, the founder, and the host, and his being the best friend of Hideo Kojima, at least, maybe jokingly through social media, this is a problem. And one that I think more people should be made aware of and more people should effectively call out. Because let me just be clear here when it comes to the Game Awards. Yeah, you can vote. You can totally vote. You can come over here and sign on in with your Facebook or your Twitter, and you can select which game you want. And they think fans are going to be the ones who are voting and fans are going to choose. They're under zero obligation. It's just like American Idol or any other reality TV show out there. They're literally under zero obligation to listen to what the fans say. We know this. All of this stuff is approved by literally the damn committee. The damn committee of people choose who wins. That's usually what happens here. Now they're going to say that that they learn it all in real time. And you know what? Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But knowing how reality TV shows and award shows work, there's a team behind the scenes that decides it before it all happens, to make sure that the right people are there at the right time, to be camera ready, to accept their award, and to have a speech ready. None of this is really considered real. It's all prefabricated in order to be entertaining, which is fine. Reality TV in and of itself is entertaining. But I still think that in a situation like this, the ethical nature of it should be called out, should be at least discussed. We know that when it comes to Geoff Keighley, he's got no problem skirting the line of ethical actions. This is the Know Your Meme page on Doritos Pope, saying here that Doritos Pope is a nickname given to gaming journalist Geoff Keighley following an interview between Keighley and LevelSave.com on October 2012. The effusive amount of product placement for Mountain Dew and Doritos during the interview led to a large amount of criticism and led to the interview to become a notorious example of criticizing the state of gaming journalism at the time. So here's the origin of it. On October 18, 2012, Canadian video game journalist, and I want you to note there that it's journalist, right? Ethics in journalism doesn't just apply to Kotaku and Polygon and everything else. Keighley hosts shows for E3. He hosts these events. He's a journalist still by definition, also / like multi-hyphenate, but journalist is still there and he still needs to be held to the same standards. Now it says your Canadian video game journalist Geoff Keighley held an interview with a video game website to talk about his experience with Comic-Con, Halo 4, Mountain Dew, and Doritos XP. During the course of the interview, Keighley was surrounded by product placement for Mountain Dew and Doritos, promoting it. A promotion event between PepsiCo and Microsoft where gamers could get double experience for Halo 4 codes placed on Mountain Dew and Doritos products. As of May 17, 2014, the video had nearly 50,000 views and 1,200 downvotes and just 125 upvotes. A lot of people weren't happy about this, right? Okay, because again, going back October 12th, 24th, 2012, Eurogamer writer Rab Florence posted an article titled Lost Humanity, A Tale of Doritos, writing about the state of gaming journalism, which was sparked after Florence noted Keighley's interview being shared on the internet in the week following the interview. The article specifically pointed out Keighley in the first few paragraphs and went on to spark the Doritos Gate controversy. 2 days later, PewDiePie uploaded a video titled Double Your Gaming Journalism with Geoff Keighley, which cut out the section in which Keighley talks about Halo 4 and the Mountain Dew and Doritos event, and combined it with multiplayer footage from Halo 3 showing a player teabagging a dead teammate. I mean, so it's memes and memes and memes and memes and memes. But we've seen this before. We've seen this kind of stuff before. Keighley has no problem with skirting that ethical line. None whatsoever. So if you are going to vote on the Game Awards, if you are going to talk about them, you're going to tweet about them, demand transparency from Geoff Keighley. Demand it. Absolutely demand it. That one of the founding members on the advisory board, which helps chooses the organizations and the outlets that will then vote on the game, has a game that just came out to mixed reviews with the vast majority of the awards per category, who happens to be a dear friend of the owner, the host, and the founder. I can't be the only one here that thinks there's something rotten in Denmark. And once again, the Doritos Pope has spoken. But anyway, your thoughts, your opinions, let me know down in the comments below. I really appreciate it. This is going to get probably a lot of hatred, and that's okay. So anyway, I'll talk to you all later. Have yourself a great day, and peace out.